today's episode we are going to be making some outfits with socks. Now I know this does sound mental and you're probably thinking, where are you getting a sock that large, Rosie? Well, fear not, we're not trying to dress me in socks. We are dressing this little guy. This is my new friend Trevor. He is a stop motion puppet and he is going to be getting a new outfit made of socks because quite frankly at the moment he looks like an extra from quite a low budget sci-fi film. Yeah. Also, just please witness the chaos that actually happens under the outfits in stop motion puppets. It doesn't need to be pretty if no one's ever going to see it. So you're probably wondering, where have I found these socks? Let's go on a journey. So you know you've done your washing and you go to get your socks at the washing machine and where'd my sock go? You're getting ready for work, you're putting your socks on and oh no, toes overboard. And over time I've been collecting these lost and lonely socks in the vain hope that I might actually find something to do with them at some point. Now I know a normal person would have thrown these away, but there's a lot of good fabric here. Like the bits that are broken at the end of the socks, yeah, no one wants those, but the rest of the sock's normally quite good. It's normally just the high wear parts like the toes and the ankles that wear out. And with stop motion puppets you only need a very small amount of fabric. That said, I think Mr. Jones's socks are going to be better because this is his sock and this is my sock. Yeah, because Mr. Jones has bigger feet than me and we all know what they say about men with big feet. Massive socks. So yeah, let's get to the crafting studio and see what we can do with these socks. So first off we're going to start making Trevor's little shoes. Now obviously he has got shoes as is. I've just made these with epoxy clay and then I've put some magnets on the bottom which I'm going to use to actually animate him and make him walk. I do have a video about using magnets to make puppets walk, so do check that out if that's of interest. But first I'm going to move on to making these little shoes. I'm going to be using the fabric from the socks obviously, but first we need to actually look at a shoe. So the main components of the shoe are the tongue of the shoe, and then this large piece of fabric that goes around the sides and the back of the shoe. There is obviously the sole, but Trevor already has a sole because if you looked at the magnets on the bottom of the shoe, and there are some plastic elements which I'm hoping we won't need, so I'm just going to keep things really simple. With that in mind, I've made some templates, and so I've got a small piece here for the tongue which is going to go there, and a piece which will wrap around the back of the shoe and then wind up there. I'm going to end up with two loose bits of fabric here which I'm then going to try and like sew together with some thread to like laces. I think we'll see how that works, but I'm just going to get the fabric cut out first. I'm going to stick this down with a glue gun. I'm just going to do really small pieces at a time, I think, otherwise we could end up in a lot of chaos quite quickly. I've kept this top flap unstuck as it would be with a normal shoe, and I'm just going to do the same with the other one now. And there we have both the tongues put on the shoes. And then I took the second piece of fabric and stuck it at the back of the shoe, making sure to get both the middle of the fabric and the middle of the shoe, and then stuck that around the side of the shoe. I did then have to trim it up a little bit because it did sort of stretch out as I was gluing it down. And there we have his little shoes. I think they look quite like shoes. I'm pretty impressed. I'm just going to put a little bit of embroidery throughout in here like you would with laces, and we'll see what they look like then. I have this lighter purple thread which I think might contrast quite nicely with the little shoes, so I'm going to give this a try. And there he has his new boots all ready, and I think they are super cute. Now there may be people out there thinking perhaps these are a bit too feminine for a man, but Terry is a very modern man who is comfortable in his sexuality and doesn't feel the need to wear what people tell him to. He wants to wear purple boots, He's gonna wear purple boots. Go for it, guys. So Trevor has his shoes now, but obviously he still needs an outfit. So I was going to make him some trousers. Now I have a template here that I've basically made up based on my vague knowledge of how trousers work. I mean, obviously we all know how trousers work, guys, but like the general shapes used in sewing. So if you can see, this is half of the pair of trousers. So this sort of goes around the leg and up and around him. I've made them pretty high waist. I actually hate high-waisted trousers. I've said this before, I loved it in the early noughties when everyone had low-waist trousers. So comfortable. I know no one agrees with me, hence they are now extinct. But Trevor's an older guy and they do tend to favour the high-waist trousers. Also, I just think it's going to look better. And I don't want to end up with this like duct tape peeking out. I'm just slightly concerned that in order to get it to fit the leg, it might be a bit snug, and as these feet are a bit chunky, I might have some trouble getting over it. So first of all, before I get to the actual sock, we're going to use this sock because I think this is probably going to be the best one for doing the trousers with, and we're going to use this as the waistband, which I think is going to be really cute. I'm going to use an extra sock. I have this sock which has a very cute picture of a robin on, but the problem is it's just massive. Like on Trevor, that would just look insane, wouldn't it? I mean, maybe it wouldn't. Maybe you think it would look cute, but we're not going for it, guys. So I think what I might just do is a prototype of one leg and just sew up the leg, and then we'll just see what that's like before we waste our good sock. So I took that rough template that I'd made and drew that on the sock and then just cut that out. I then very roughly sewed that up by hand. I'm just going to turn this inside out. We have got the benefit that this is really stretchy material. I mean, you guys know, you've worn socks before. So hopefully this will work. Oh, yeah. Oh, that works so good. Oh, what a lovely snug pair of pants. I have no more worries. I'm going to move on to the big sock and we're going to get going. So now that we know that this pattern will work with his legs, I'm going to cut this out of here. So what I'm going to do is do one here and one on the other side. So we're going to incorporate this little section and use it as a really chunky waistband. So I use the same template that I did on the practice run and use that to draw out the shape on the socks and then cut that out with some scissors, making sure to leave room for a seam allowance, of course. And then it was to the sewing machine where I just sewed everything up. This was a bit complicated. Sewing the legs was fine, but sewing both legs together really confused me, but I got there in the end. So now we have our lovely little trousers. Now I'm just going to trim up this excess off the seam just so there's not too much extra bulk. Now you will notice that I've left the actual ankle holes open. I'm a bit worried that if I sew them up it might make them constricted and not go over the feet. So I don't know if I'm just going to leave them as is or I might turn them up or possibly even hand sew them, but we'll just get these on and see what they look like. Right, as suspected. It's quite a lot of material around that waist, guys. I mean, hey, I like a snack and I do like to have a bit of extra wiggle room, but I think that's a bit excessive. I mean, you can get another friend in there.
Hey, yeah.
I think leg-wise we're fine, but I think we're gonna have to find a way to either cinch the sides or the back. I'm gonna go away and sleep on it. I'll be back with more ideas tomorrow. So I had a sleep on it, and what I ended up doing in the end, rather than actually shrinking the trousers, was I actually made Trevor larger. I did have a think about the puppets I've made in the past, and on the whole I do tend to make my puppets with quite a slim body type. This just is the way they seem to turn out. I'm not sort of planning to make them a certain size or shape, but they do just tend to end up that way. But as we all know, bodies of all shapes and sizes are beautiful. So with that in mind, I've decided to make a slightly larger puppet here, which has helped with the body positivity side of things and also solved the problem of the trousers. So now he has his lovely well-fitting trousers. He's almost ready to go, but he does need a top, so I'm just going to get him measured up now and we're going to make him a top. I'm going to make it long sleeved just to cover up these metallic bits here, and hopefully have quite a high neck just to cover this whole situation up. Now I've got that measurement, I'm going to try and make a template. I'm just going to make one template that I can use for the back and the front, so it's just exactly the same. I'm not going to faff about with different necklines because frankly that's a bit outside my sewing ability. And then cut that out. Now I am looking at this now and it's quite a large template compared to the size of the socks. I am a bit worried we're going to end up with a bit of a Franken sock situation, but I'll see what I can do. Yeah, I don't think I could have got 2 out of this piece, but thankfully I do have the other sock, the one with the hole in, so hopefully we should be able to do this. I'm going to make sure that both of them have the pattern this way. Hopefully we can sort this out. Oof, that looks a mess in the back. So the back of this sock was an utter disgrace, so I just gave up, turned the fabric over and drew out the pattern on the front of the sock. And then I've cut that out. So I'm back at ye old sewing machine to try and sew this up. I found this orange coloured cotton that I think will contrast well. Well, just match really. Then I just sewed the top up. This was quite a simple shape to sew together, so it wasn't such a going on as the trousers. And here we have our finished little jumper. I think it looks really cute. It is a little bit of a mess around this bottom. I was having a really hard time with the sewing machine, but I don't think it looks too bad. And I'm really happy with this pattern. I think it looks like a sort of Scandinavian sweater or something. Maybe the sort of thing, you know, like a Nordic fisher person might wear. I don't know why this clearly is not a Nordic fish person. This is just Trevor. So I'm just going to get him into this jumper and we're going to see what we're going to do with this neckline. Hopefully it fits. This part is always nerve-wracking. Yay, so we've got him fitted into that, so that's a good sign. Because I'm not super happy with this bottom seam, I think I'm going to tuck this in because he's an older gentleman and I feel like an older guy is more inclined to kind of tuck their outfits in anyway. And I think because we've got such a nice seam at the top of these trousers, because it's basically the seam from the top of the sock, I think we may as well use that. I think the fit's quite good. It's a little bit loose, could maybe have been a bit tighter, but I think if it had been a bit tighter we'd have struggled to get it over his head. So we have obviously got this looseness around here. So I could have just seamed that on the sewing machine, but I think if I'd have sewn that up it would have had a trouble getting over his head because I think it would have just bound that seam and moved this elasticity around. So normally if I was doing something like this I would probably use something like bias binding around here, but I really want to stick with the theme of using the socks and I want to use the socks for everything. I know we did cheat a little bit with this lacing, but we'll pretend that's not happening. So what I think I'm going to do is actually chop the top off one sock. Yes, so I think what I'm going to do is take this and then double it over. So half of this is outside and half of this is inside, and then that should give a nice neckline. The colour isn't perfect. I think we're going to stick with the purple. I think it's fine. I think it goes with the shoes, and I think the colours are just generally a bit all over the place, which is fine, guys. I mean, I just bung anything on at all. I don't care what matches, so I don't really know why I'm worrying. So I think, yeah, what I'm going to do is just like take it the whole way around and then tuck, so this like raw edge is on the inside so you won't see that, and then this nice edge is on the outside. I think I'm going to hand sew this because, like I say, if I do it in the sewing machine, I think it's going to make this seam like completely tightened up and it won't go over the head. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a go at hand sewing this. So I'll go away and try and do that and I will be back shortly. And here is our finished puppet in his lovely outfit made of socks. Now I'm really happy with how this has worked out. I mean, I don't think it's the neatest thing I've ever done, but to say that this was just a pile of old socks, which probably should have gone in the bin, I think it's pretty good work. So let's just have a look at the individual pieces, have a look at what's gone right and what's gone wrong. So if we start up at the top here, we have this lovely jumper. I'm really happy with this jumper, especially I really like the pattern. I think one of the things that's really good with socks is that they're quite small patterns. And as I've spoken about before, you don't want really large patterns on your stop motion characters. For instance, a polka dot that might look normal, say on me, is going to be like the size of his whole torso. So if you're using normal human fabrics, human fabrics, you know, fabrics that a human might wear, sometimes the patterns can be a little bit big, but with socks, the patterns are sort of small that you don't really have to worry about that most of the time. I did have that problem with a robin. But on the whole, I would say, yeah, the patterns all work really well. I'm quite happy with this neck. It is a little bit messy. I think if we don't look at the back, it's not too much of a problem. But I think this does look like a collar, or like, you know, like a polo neck sweater type thing. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's just a little bit messy. I think that's more my execution than the actual socks themselves. And these top bits of the socks, like the sort of the collar of the sock. What is that bit of the sock called? I'll go and consult Google and come back to you. Super happy with how these trousers have turned out. I think this is probably the most impressive thing I've made out of the socks. I'm definitely going to try making some more stuff. Some things that really worked well. I mean, again, the pattern, I'm really happy with the pattern. I think it like looks in proportion with him. The stretchiness of the fabric was really good. It helps mold it to them, and when you've got things like their feet to contend with, because unlike him, you can't just like take off your feet. You can't take off your feet, don't take off your feet, guys, unless maybe you've got a detachable foot. Like, good for you guys. But for the rest of us with feet, you can't really detach the foot. But yeah, you can take your sock off, you can like maneuver your foot, whereas like this foot is just where it is. It's not going anywhere. So that helped with that. And again, like with these, I'm still going with the collar of the sock. I think it's worked really well as a waistband. Also, like a lot of the things I make, I tend to make that fit on the puppet, whereas these, because they're so elasticated, I can take them on and off, which is really cool, and it means I can use the puppets for different things and dress them up differently. And then we have the shoes. Now, I don't think they're the best executed thing that I've ever done. I think they do look like shoes, and I was really happy with actually the templates I made for making the shoes, but I think the sock fabric probably wasn't the best fabric to do these in. So I did actually test this out just to see if I could use this in another animation. Please excuse this puppet, which is certainly doesn't have a face. It's a bit, it looks like some terrifying Doctor Who monster or something, but just pretend this bit isn't happening and look at the shoes. So I basically used this same pattern, and then I used some sort of slightly plasticky fabric. It's the waterproof lining from an old rucksack which we were throwing out. So I've done the same thing. I've made a tongue here, and then I've made a back segment, and then I've just laced them up, and I'm really happy with how they've turned out. So despite the fact that I don't think the sock trainers looked perfect, it did teach me some things about how to put together some shoes. So while it's not all worked out perfectly, I have learnt things, so I think that's good. And I definitely think the trousers worked really well. I'm definitely going to be doing some more things with socks, I think, in the future. And the thing is with socks, like, don't worry guys, I can afford fabric, but just like, I'm someone who really struggles throwing things out. I just don't like waste, and me and my husband just seem to destroy socks. I don't know what it is. We do walk quite a lot, so possibly that, and the lovely Mr. Jones wears like steel toe capped shoes at work, so I don't know if that wears out socks quicker than other things. Anyone have any idea about the wear and tear of socks? Just feel free to share your thoughts below. So yeah, I just thought, why not try and use them up? So yeah, if you also seem to have a large amount of socks with holes in, give it a go, guys. Obviously, there's still lots more to do. I've got a few different animations coming up. I'm going to be making different puppets. I'm going to be making some scenery. I obviously need to make this lady a face. So yeah, lots to do. I do upload videos every second Sunday, so do make sure to subscribe to be kept up to date about all things animation, and I will see you all again really soon. Bye!